And good morning, everyone. Today is the 5th of March, 2019. I'm Roy Potter. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. This is going to be a very strange live stream this morning. But before I get started, I wanted to make sure that I, again, publicly thanked Pam Jones for Liberty for making my intros and my exits. You know, these things that you see at the beginning, at the end of my transmissions. Pam Jones is very much involved in the chemtrailing into this, as far as studying it and exposing it. Stratospheric atmosphere injection, which of course our ex-CIA John Brennan fully explained at the CFR, and you can find that on. We've known that for years, even though it's been denied. Now, of course, it's coming more and more out in the open. The dangers of that, the nanoparticles, the barium salts, the aluminum, the things that poison life, and on top of that, of course, the 5G that's going in and how dangerous that is. Trump is all for it, and it's one of the reasons why I decided to do this today. We're not going to talk that much about the 5G, if at all, other than what I'm saying here. But this is a panopticon control grid, and it's very evil. All across the board, not to mention the fact that it's meant to change our atmosphere and basically kill off everything that God's made, particularly mankind. That's another subject, but if you'd like to know more, go to see Pam Jones for Liberty.com or on Twitter, Pam Jones for Liberty. And she also has a YouTube channel for that. And I tried to link her up with Cabin Talk, a lady that's back in Vermont that talks about some of these same things. I don't know if they've gotten together or not, but there's a lot of this information out there, and I just want to encourage you to go look at it because this is still going forward and nothing's being done about it that we can see. And with all of the spraying going on and everything else with the 5G and Trump pushing it, I'm pretty sure that not a whole lot's being done to curtail this thing. Whether Trump knows about the intricacies of it and the dangers of it, I don't know. But it's disturbing that, of course, no one in his administration gives him what's really the important information. We're going to talk about that some more today. Okay, so with that, again, please go check out Pam Jones for Liberty because she did all these nice things for me. And Pam, you've wanted to have a chat with me for a while. Just understand that I'm in the middle of some things that are going on, and it's hard for me to get away right now. So just so that you know, thanks so much. Okay, so why did I label this, Is Trump the AntiChrist? Well, I think I've mentioned that, of course, you know that I've studied Hebrew. I'm not going to call myself any special names, but these spiritual studies have been a big thing of mine for a long time. And they're not traditional because, as most people should be finding out now, the truth is not in the churches that are made with brick and mortar. It's just not there. You can find bits and pieces, but if you really want to know, and this isn't going to be a spiritual discussion, don't misunderstand me, don't shut me down yet, okay, we're going to get into some really neat stuff here, important stuff. But I just want to preface all that I'm going to do by saying that it's even the interpretations of written scripture have been twisted, and I've talked about it before, why you have to go back to the original languages and have to be concerned even with the verbs, the adjectives, and those types of things. The words themselves, the letters in the words, even the spaces between the words. And people are going, what? What are you talking about? Well, I can't explain all that here. I just want you to know I understand those things. So what I'm going to say today is going to rock some people. As a matter of fact, I think it probably rocked. There's a lady. I have some lady friends. I don't have a girlfriend, as most of you know at the present time. But I have lots of lady friends. You know, we're doing all that investigation stuff. You know, but at any rate, and she's very much into studying these things. And so we had a little chat the other night, and she was concerned about the question that she was starting to look to her from all the information that she's seen that Trump might be the Antichrist. And I went, brakes, red light, stop. So we're going to get to that towards the end of the transmission. So hold on, you'll find this very interesting, I think. I've covered this particular subject matter before, but I think now's another time to do that. Okay, so a couple things are going on that I wanted to bring up. The first is, and I saw it this morning on Headlines with a Voice. The lady who does that is very concerned about what this USMCA is and what it isn't. I would encourage you to go look at that. There are some problems with it, some very big problems, as I pointed out, that it's basically NAFTA all over again with a few exceptions. It puts the UN in charge. There's some real problems with the USMCA. Now, Trump is the president. There's no way he's going to be able to sit down and read every word of a new law, of a new bill. He has a staff that is supposed to protect his guidance. In other words, what his objectives are. He gives them guidance, and they're supposed to ensure that whatever comes across his desk, theoretically, this is how it's supposed to work, meets his guidance, his commander's intent, if you will, what we call it in the military. Well, he's not getting that support from his staff. He never has, and at this point, I doubt that he ever will. And it's been a beef that all of us have had with him from the very beginning, that he puts these people in there. He wonders why nobody has his back. Well, it's because he puts these crazy people that are diametrically opposed to him into these different places. Now, there are all kinds of excuses as to why he does that, and I'm not getting into that today. But what I do want to show you is how dangerous of a situation this is. Okay. Bill Barr is a problem. And everybody should know by now, if you don't, that the acting AG, Whitaker, resigned the other day, just up and quit. Now, what the lead up was to that, I don't know. What the purposes were, what was behind it, I don't know. I don't pretend to know. However, I got a direct message this morning from a very kind lady. She's probably listening. Thank you for sending this to me. At least I think this is what you were talking about. I couldn't find the Periscope, exactly the one that I thought you meant, but anyway, this one popped out at me, just so you know. And basically, it's a Twitter site called Border Narcotics, at Border Narcotics. And the executive director of this organization, it's a private organization. His name is Mike. I don't know much more about him than that. This is the first time I've seen it. I didn't know it existed. Shame on me. Looks very good. Looks like an excellent site if you want to go to it. But at any rate, he apparently knows former AG Whitaker personally, and had a discussion as to why Whitaker left, and apparently it's something very troubling. Now, it's interesting that this happened after Barr came in. So I'm not saying I know what it is. Unfortunately, the transmission on the Periscope that this guy was going to talk about was interrupted. Gee, I wonder why that is, right? It basically stopped, and I couldn't find anything further on it on his site there. So I'm not sure what's going on, but apparently, as I've said, there's a war in the government. This isn't just about differences of opinions on ideology or political stands. This is about evil versus good, and I've talked about that for a long time. We're no longer in a place where we can reach across the aisle and shake hands and agree to disagree. We are at a place where there is no more room for that. It's impossible. It cannot be done. And it's unfortunate, but that's where we are. And it's not Trump's fault. Trump was just the catalyst when he came in, that the people that believe in the constitutional republic and the personal law of the perfect law of liberty and all of those things gathered around. The movement was already there. He just became the centerpiece. He's not the be-all, end-all of this movement. It's really a spiritual movement. And I think most of you understand that. And he's not perfect, and we can't expect him to be. But he, like this situation where he puts these people in these positions, and he and the country get screwed. Look at the situation with this national security or national emergency. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to pretend like I know all the ins and outs, but I do know that as commander-in-chief, he has a right to protect the country. And somebody wiggled him in to signing this bill that the Congress put out that now has restricted him, and they're moving on that, saying he can't do this. Even Rand Paul's against him, and I understand Rand Paul's position, and I don't want to go down that road. Like I say, it's an attorney's battle. The president has the right to act to protect the country, but the way he went about it this time, and I called it at the time, I said, this is a problem. I don't know how it's going to work out, but he just should have used his commander-in-chief authority rather than try to go this other way. There have been other people that have said that. I'm not the only one. A lot of people have said that. Stuart Rhodes, for one, of Oath Keepers. But at any rate, you see how they manipulated him there. He's trusting these people and his counselors. And I think Jay Sekulow is great. But I don't know about anybody else in that office. Frankly, I don't know about anybody else in the entire White House but Jay Sekulow that I would trust. So there's this thing going on there where he's not getting this good information. There's no way he can read all the stuff. I had a son last night who called up and he said, "Hey, I thought we were supposed to get off of this penalty on not having health insurance," because that's what was thrown out there. Also, the tax code. There's a problem with the tax code. Notice that about a year ago, Trump was making a big deal about, everybody's got more money in their paychecks, and now all of a sudden they're having to pay more at the end. Headlines with a Voice did an excellent explanation of that as well. She's always on top of things. And, people are saying, wait a minute, I thought I was supposed to not have to pay all these taxes, and now, I didn't pay all these taxes all year, but now I'm getting hit with this big bill at the end. Well, there's this sleight of hand thing. Apparently what they did was they changed the withholding requirements, not the actual taxes themselves. And did Trump know that was coming? I don't know. But now that's what's happened. People are pissed, and it's understandable. So, there's no way he's going to sit there and read thousands of pages of a bill, hundreds and thousands of pages of a bill. That's what his staff is there for, and they have screwed him one way and then the other, front, back, sideways. But he really has nobody to blame but himself. The bad thing is that it's affecting the country badly, and I've talked about that. And I said it, if he didn't act early on, that they would start coming after his friends and his family, and now you see what they're doing. They're coming after his family as well on this expanded thing to rip his entire life apart and that of his family. And it's disgusting, and it just goes to show what I've always said, that these people are demons. They're doing what Satan does. They are the accuser of the brethren. They are evil to the core. Just so you know where I'm going today on this, all right? So that's the first thing I want to mention, the thing with Whitaker. I don't know what's happening there, but I think it's telltale. The next thing that I wanted to bring up was this situation with Barr. And, I haven't trusted him for a long time, and I've told you why. I won't go back over all of that today. If you don't remember, go back and check some of the ones that I've talked about. Where I brought up Barr. But basically, he's been a deep stater. Let me just put it that way. He's supported mass surveillance, covered for murders in the federal government, literally, things like that. Real bad stuff. My Republican insider seems to think that he's had a change of heart and is going to go ahead and do the right thing now because he wants a good legacy. But then Whitaker left suddenly. Interesting. And I told my Republican insider, well, actually, he said to me, let's give it 4 to 6 weeks. And I said, okay, we'll do that. Well, it's been that 2 weeks, as I mentioned the other day. Basically, by April 1st, if he hasn't acted, I think we're in trouble, okay? I think we're in trouble now, and I'm going to tell you why here in a minute. But at any rate, so I'm still waiting to see if he actually goes down the road of investigating, and then prosecuting the criminals and traitors that have brought us to this point. And it's not the constitutional republic supporters, of course. It's primarily those who identify themselves as Democrats. Unfortunately, I'm not saying there aren't rhinos involved. There are, because it's this pretend left-right paradigm has been a real good tool for these people to take advantage of us and the rest of the world. But the part, and I brought it up the other day, there are people that are on different sides of whether Barr is going to do something. I was going to show you some clips this morning, but I got rushed, and I have some other clips up that I wanted to show you, which some of you won't like, but I'm going to put them on anyway. But Tom Fitton was on Judge Jeanine the other day, and I knew about this anyway before he talked about it publicly, and he said that he doubts Barr will investigate. He thinks he will find some way to save the institutions and the political cronies, at least Hillary. He might throw a few people to us, McCabe, Peter Strzok, and Lisa Page. He might do that, but Fitton's not even sure about that. So he's on the side that kind of is the way I look at it. Now, Joe diGenova is still very much supporting Barr, and he believes that he will investigate, that the Justice Department and the IRS and all these different agencies are shaking in fear of Bill Barr because he's coming after them. So what's the truth of the matter? I don't know. But like every other situation, you've got these two diametrically opposed positions. I loved Joe diGenova, don't get me wrong. And I hope he's right. I hope he's right. Tom Fitton, on the other hand, has been, in the fray from the very start, and he knows all the intricate details, probably even more so than diGenova. Plus, my Republican insider the other day asked me, he says, gee, Tom Fitton, I don't know. I don't have as much respect for him as I do for, rats. I've forgotten his name. I don't know how I could do that. Anyway, the other guy that's usually on for Judicial Watch. Sorry, I've forgotten his name. You guys probably have it you see how I wander. I don't always have these things written down. Chris Farrell, that's the one. Chris Farrell, who is former military intelligence, is a lawyer. Really gets down in the dirty stuff and looks at it. And if you don't know the reason why you haven't seen Chris Farrell on Fox News, I talked about this several months back when it happened. Chris Farrell brought up Soros and that he was funding some of these things with the caravan and some of the other nefarious things that are going on. And Fox banned him. Well, when Fox banned him, of course, everybody else did too. So supposedly the conservative network that's out there supposedly there to keep us informed banned Chris Farrell. So that's the reason why you see Tom Fitton more than anything else right now. I understand that Chris is also off on some other things. But the point is, you see where this is going. You can't even trust Fox. And like I brought up the other day, everybody, you need to switch over to OANN. Okay? Please do that. That's the network that Jack Posobiec, he's the Washington correspondent for. Liz Wheeler is an anchor on OANN. And you really need to go watch them. If you really want to break through and get good information, it's not on Fox anymore. I like Lou Dobbs. I like Judge Jeanine. Let me see who this is just in case. Yeah, we're going to get to what that message is about here in a few minutes. So, Sean Hannity, I like Sean. There are good people there, but they're few and far between. And basically the whole thing is shifted to go after Trump. And we should all know that. But at any rate, the point is you have Tom Fitton on this side saying Barr's not going to do anything. You have Joe diGenova on this side. Both great men. My feeling on it is I would like to believe Joe diGenova has got this right, but I see too much evidence on the other side. So that's why we're waiting another 4 weeks or so. It's not going to be quite 4 weeks now, but you get the idea. So I wanted to bring that up because it's a real problem. Okay. Let me jump to these clips. I think I've gotten that to where it needs to be. This problem with the infanticide has really brought into focus the evil that we're up against. These are the ancient evil religions of Moloch, Baal, those things. Killing children, and now they use them also for scientific reasons, killing them for their body parts, their DNA, their organs, etc. This is an extremely wicked, evil time. And as I said the other day, when Kimberly Guilfoyle brought up the fact that 2020 election needs to address this, the laws are already in place. As I said, Kimberly's wrong. The government needs to go protect these children now. You notice the Democrats always use children to push gun control and to push, and the Republicans to push wars. And I brought this up in a video here a while back where they had that actress, that Iraqi actress. Actually, I think she was Saudi or Kuwaiti. I don't remember now, but she was the one that it was all a staged event. And she says, she's crying. And, the Iraqi soldiers came in and took the babies out of their incubators and threw them on the cold, hard floor to die. All baloney, all theatrics, all lies. But we went to war over it, and yet we won't save the people in our own country from invasion. We're meeting problems with that, and also this thing with infanticide, which is very indicative of our position right now. Trump needs to act on that and protect these children. Go, whatever it takes. Because if he doesn't, he's going to turn out like Saul. And I've talked about that before. And if you don't know what I mean, go check the story of Saul out and what happened to him for not doing what he said he was going to do. All right, so that's important. There's inaction on that front. Okay, the Senate, shot down the bill and all of that, but President Trump doesn't need that. He's got the homicide laws and all those other things to act on if he wants to. There are other laws that are on the books that he could use. But at any rate, that shows you how evil we are. Okay, what about this support for the First and Second Amendment? I brought this up in a video some time ago that President Trump needs to aggressively defend the First, Second, and Fourth Amendment, and I had people on both sides of the issue. Some were yelling at me for saying that, calling it rubbish. I was really surprised who said that, but karma kind of came back and nipped them in the butt later and proved that that there were other people that said the same thing. These people are very intelligent, but sometimes I think they get a little cocky. And it was really true that he needs to do that. And I've called for it because he can take action on those things right now, but there are some problems. So I want to show you a couple of videos here to emphasize why I'm concerned, and you should be too. Okay, there's been inaction on protecting the First Amendment. He finally came out and said he's got an executive order coming where he's going to tell the universities and colleges if they don't protect the First Amendment, they're going to lose federal funds. Well, the same thing should happen to the MSM. The same thing should happen to the social media platforms, etc. Okay, it should be across the board. But at least it's a step in the right direction. Whether or not he does it, I don't know, because he's had that executive order since December 21st, 2017, that he apparently still isn't working on. By the way, people are saying, oh, where's Podesta? Oh, he's in Gitmo. Okay. So, whatever. So at any rate, there's that situation there. Then you've got the situation where Trump said that, and he said this during the CPAC. And I really liked that speech, as I told you, but there were some things that disturbed me, and this was one of them. He said, they're coming after your Second Amendment, but you don't have to worry because I'm here to protect you. Ladies and gentlemen, what he should have said was, stand by me, back me up, raise hell out there, and we're going after them. We're going to go on. We're not just going to play the defensive, and I'm going to protect you. He said, we're going to go on the offensive, and we're going to attack them for trying to get rid of the Second Amendment. That's what he should have done. What he's doing is he's putting his base to sleep when he says things like that. He wants to be, he called himself the champion, and he's done a lot of good things. Don't misunderstand me. But these are critical because without these, the First, Second, and Fourth Amendments, everything else will not matter. Nothing. No, President Trump, you haven't protected us on the First or the Second Amendment, and by interpolation, the Fourth. So I'm going to play this for you real quick here. I'm going to play a video, first of all, a clip where, oh no, geez. Oh, that figures. Well, my OAS goes out sometimes, so I'm not going to be able to play that after all. Dang it. That's upsetting. My OAS crashed yesterday, and I see why now. Okay. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find this. I think I can do it on the fly here. Let's see if I can. You'll have to pardon me. Like I said, my OBS crashed yesterday. So let me see if I can find it. I think I can.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, apparently I lost you guys. I apologize. Looking for that other thing. I should have done it on a separate screen, but I didn't. So what I was saying was, and then I lost you. Sorry for that. One of those technical difficulties you run into. Like I said, I think I explained to you, my OBS crashed when I was trying to set this up this morning, and I didn't recheck it, unfortunately, before we did this. So I had lost this clip that I wanted to show you, so I apologize for that. What I've got here, let me recap what I did here, and I am very sorry I lost you. I'm very concerned about President Trump's stand on the First, Second, and Fourth Amendments, okay, and him not acting to protect those. So let me just show you this clip now that I finally found it. Here we go.
Yes, go ahead, Mike.
Well, in the category, you've spoken about it, Mr. President, gun violence restraining orders. They're called. California actually has a version of this. And I think in your meeting with governors earlier this week, individually and as a group, we spoke about states taking steps. But the focus is to literally give families and give local law enforcement additional tools if an individual is reported to be a potential danger to themselves or others. Allow due process so that no one's rights are trampled, but the ability to go to court, obtain an order, and then collect not only the firearms, but any weapons in the possession
Or
of that
Mike,
individual.
take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system, because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
What? Let me check the chat here. Let me see how bad we were there as far as being offline. Okay. Are we back online? I hope so. Everything says here we are. Can everybody let me know? Okay, we are. Let me tell you what happened there. So, did you see the clip on Trump talking about taking the guns? Did you see that? You know, some of these people, I got to stop this. I'm going to get rid of some of those folks that are on here. Bad Blood says Roy Potter's been out it a year ago. You know, you guys are just nothing. You talk about shit stirs. You're one, Red Blood, so you're gone. And if moderators are here, they might not be because I didn't tell them I was going to be on this morning. There's another one I saw when I was going down through here, but okay. Oh yeah, Top Secret Bear. Finally, Potter shows his real agenda. That's probably a negative too. You obviously are a problem, so you're gone, Top Secret Bear. You know, we don't need your kind here. Bring up facts, not false accusations. Okay, Satan is a false accuser, and that's what you are. Okay, so I'm sorry that our screen went black there for a minute. Like I was saying, my OBS crashed, and I needed to find out where the stuff was that I wanted to show. So did you see the clip just now where Trump is saying take the guns first and then do due process? Did you see that? Can somebody let me know that you saw that? Okay. Yes, I did. Okay, good. All right. Now, that's serious because that's when the red flag laws really took off, was because all these different states and municipalities, etc., said, well, Trump's not going to go after us for this. He had already done the bump stock thing, and then he did that. Now I want to play for you a clip, and I know a lot of you don't care for Alex Jones, but I still find out Alex has put his life on the line literally on a lot of things. And even though I think his program has now evolved into a constant, continual run-on commercial, I swear, I can listen to anybody else and get more news in 10 minutes than I can from Alex listening to him for an hour. Probably a lot of things that people say about me. But at any rate, it's the point that, and I know he's in financial crunch. I understand that, but I think it's become a distraction that's just absolutely unbearable. Anyway, if any of you watch InfoWars, you'll know what I'm talking about. But he says this here, and I think he does a real good job on explaining the very things that I'm concerned about. Let's listen to this.
So I know why Trump's got his problems is that despite the fact he's a maverick and done a lot of incredible stuff and better Supreme Court justices than Hillary and panicked the establishment, every time he gives in to them and staffs his operation with neocons, they repay it with backstabbing. So I've noticed the paradigm and how this works. You're completely loyal to Trump, you don't exist. You get upset with Trump and hold his feet to the fire, you get results. So people need to call the White House, they need to call Congress, they need to be involved and focused and say, listen, we put heat on you about the emergency, you did it. We put heat on you about this and that, and you did it, good. We want prosecutions of the Democrats. We want you on the offense, not on the defense with all the stuff they're pulling. And we want a move against the racketeering, the cartels, the censorship that's going on. Because if you won't defend the First Amendment, we know you won't defend the Second. And I know Trump's thinking bump stocks aren't really used for anything. I don't think they're effective. They're pieces of junk. But he wanted to act like when there was a Vegas attack, we got rid of something. He wanted to take that away from them. And now they're just moving on to semi-auto and everything else. And now he's talking about red flag laws where no judge, no jury, just somebody thinks you're dangerous with no proof, your guns are taken. If Trump endorses that, he needs to get on the offense against it. If he does that, his base is gone. And I don't want to see Trump do that. So I say that out of compassion and caring about the country and about what Trump could continue to be, to say, danger, Mr. President, don't go down this road. Let's go back to your calls.
All right. I think that Alex really laid it out there. And I don't think I really need to comment anymore on it. It's definitely a problem. And Trump is getting sidelined. He's getting and I understand all the pressure he's under. But he should have gone on the offensive within the first 60 days of being in office. And he kept thinking he could play with these people. Doesn't read character too well after all, apparently. Grand scheme to identify everybody. Come on, everybody. We already knew who all the bad players were. He needed to show the rest of the country. Well, obviously there are those who aren't going to pay attention anyway. And now we're at this very, very critical juncture. So I agree with Alex. We need to see some real activity by the White House, by President Trump in particular, protecting infants, protecting the innocent, knocking off these foreign regime change wars. No, I'm not going to get into Venezuela today. There have been plenty of other things, though, that go along with that. He needs to get busy in having the federal government support and defend aggressively the First, Second, and Fourth Amendments, and I've talked about that for a long time. So Alex is on the same page that I am. Okay, that all said, is Trump the Antichrist? And I'm going to point something out here that probably a lot of people are going to say, what? What are you talking about? I meant to bring up a few books because of the studies that I do. And those of you who aren't interested in scriptures by and large, I think will find this of some merit. You notice that the Democrats, the deep state, the neocons even, to a lesser extent, but they're always underneath the surface causing problems. Basically, the leftist Marxists are constantly attacking Trump. Anything that they can find, they attack him. So they're the false accusers, they're the persecutors. And to me, it's always important to watch the fruits of the people, to see what they do. That way I can tell what they are. Is Trump part of a big drama where, he's fooling everybody. Well, if he is, he's paying a hell of a price. He's losing billions of dollars in his business. His family's in danger. Yes, he has a large following in flyover America, but you see what they're trying to do with the Electoral College now, trying to subvert our republic by doing away with that, or saying that a state will go along with the popular vote, not in their state, but in the national, which is causes some logistical problems, but they can handle it. And it's very upsetting to see this attack on the republic, and that's what it is. We're not a democracy, which is what they're trying to make us, because we've been told for how long. Even Trump talks about democracy. We're not a democracy. He needs to start talking about that we're a republic, a constitutional republic. So the popular vote isn't the only way that things are resolved, and there's a reason for that, a very good reason, and hopefully most of you understand. But at any rate, he's being attacked by all these different people in all these different directions. And yes, I'm critical of him, but that's because I want him to do the right thing by the Constitution. Well, like I said, I was talking to this lady the other day, and she was talking about, well, it's starting to look like, the Trump might be the Antichrist for this reason, that reason, and that reason. And I want to refer you to something. And I've got a Bible here. But don't run away, because I think you'll find this interesting. I was also going to bring up a Gesenius. A Gesenius is and I forgot it. A Gesenius is basically a Hebrew English lexicon with the the definitions of the words in the Hebrew broken down. And when you make it a lifelong study, that and some of the mystical things and all of that, you learn to find messages in the language itself, in the words that are chosen, even the letters that are used to make the words, to understand what the actual message is. Now, the scholars have long said that Daniel 11 is an explanation of what the Antichrist is and what the Antichrist will do, how he will operate, and how you identify him. If you have never read that, go do it, Daniel 11. But we're going to cover a little bit of that, just one verse in this today. Trump is well known for liking women. Now, a lot of Christians and others will say, "Oh, how horrible! That's evil. That's wrong. That shows that he's an immoral man and all of that." Well, as I've often pointed out, there's a righteous way of doing things and an unrighteous. Okay, righteousness means the right way of using something. Unrighteousness means the wrong way of using something. And it's not necessarily sinful or evil depending upon the circumstances. I don't want to get into all the details on that today. I want to focus on why Trump cannot possibly be the Antichrist. And the first reason I've already discussed. He's constantly being attacked and accused falsely. The Antichrist would never put up with that, not even in a drama. No way. Not when you read Daniel 11. You'll understand that. The other thing, of course, is he is very much a man. A man. He likes women. And that's an important thing. Okay, and there's some there's some real interesting correlations and that go along with something else I'll say in a few minutes, because a lot of people aren't going to like this one either. But I'm going to have to draw these parallels, because I don't think anybody else will do it. Let's read Daniel 11, verse 37. If you've got a Bible and you want to read along, please do. Daniel 11, 37. Let's read this. This is talking about the Antichrist. "Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers." The God of his fathers. Ooh. That means that he's one of two things. He's either an Israelite, an Ishmaelite, or possibly a Christian. He's one of the people of the book. All right? "Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers," lineage-wise. Okay, lineage-wise. I'm not saying he's a practicing Christian or whatever. But lineage-wise, he's going to be along those lines somewhere. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god. For he shall magnify himself above all. Let's home in on that phrase, nor the desire of women. In other words, he shall not regard the desire of women. I've talked about before how the prophets, and this is in Daniel, how the prophets will place information in a scripture that seems out of place. Sometimes they'll change the spelling of a word. I did an entire video about how the spelling of Cyrus, the Persian king, was changed for a very good reason. Okay, the way it's spelled, and it's only spelled that way twice. It's usually spelled one way everywhere in the scripture, but in two places, and in only two places, it's changed, and it's because it's a prophetic type. It brings attention to it. Well, in this particular scripture here, where it talks about the desire of women, when you look at Gesenius, the Gesenius and most scholars who want to support the traditional view of interpretation, let's call it that, will say that by the context of this particular verse, that this desire of women is referring to the goddess that women find desirable. That's what, in other words, instead of saying the name Astarte, for instance, or Ishtar, or one of those, instead of mentioning the name, Daniel says the desire of women, and that by the context of the sentence, he's talking about the goddess that women want. And I'm here to say that's not what it is. Gesenius, apparently, and those who are in that school do not understand the prophetic method of prophecy. This is a hidden thing here, and it's very common in the scriptures to veil certain actions by certain women. Sarah, for instance, the wife of Abraham, Eve, some other things. And yet, the information's there if you know how to see it. And that was one of the things that I received here a few minutes ago. But I want to address this phrase here because it's very important. Let me read verse 37 again. This is what the Antichrist is, one of his characteristics. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any god, for he shall magnify himself above all. If you understand the method of the creation of Eve and what that is about, and you understand how important it is that a man not be alone, that's a very important type and shadow, and that a woman's desire shall be to her husband. All these things, the feminists go, oh no, we need a man like we need a fish, or like a fish needs a bicycle. I think that's how it goes. These are prophetic types and shadows. And what this is saying is, and I'll just go right to it, when it talks about the desire of women, it's not talking about the god or the goddess that women are attracted to. It's talking about the image of God, male and female. And it's saying that this Antichrist dude is not going to like women. He's going to be, I'll just say it, he's going to be gay, or he's going to be asexual, androgynous. That's what he is. Could it be an AI? That would fit. An AI, hologram or whatever. It could. I don't think so, though, because it talks about the God of his father. So this is a real person, real flesh and blood being, but he's not influenced by the DNA of his forebears. He chooses the evil side. And however that comes about, I'm not sure. But the one thing that does identify him is he doesn't like women. So just by that manifestation alone, it's obvious that Donald Trump does not fit as the Antichrist. Just by that one thing alone. You can go through Daniel 11 and you can see all of the other things that are there that don't match up with Trump. Now I'm going to kick you in the lower parts, because what I'm going to say next is something that's going to be totally crazy for most people. But it's just a fact. If, in fact, the Antichrist is somebody who doesn't like women, by logic, by reason, by process of elimination, however you want to look at it, guess what Christ must be? He must be very interested in women. And there are lots of scriptures that allude to the fact that he has what I will call wives. And it's not just the church, which was a movement to mask the truth of who the real Mashiach is. I'll let you chew on that. A lot of people are going to be flying off the handle about it, like I really care, because I don't. So do you get the gist of that? The Antichrist will not like women. He might have somebody there filling the spot, sort of like a Michelle Obama, right? Who is questionable. But he's not going to really like women. On the other hand, the real Christ does. And very much so, and I know a lot of people don't care for the Gnostic scriptures, but there is some truth there if you know how to distill it out. And it says that Jesus kissed Mary Magdalene on her lips often, and his followers, his disciples, asked him, "Why do you love her more than us?" And he rhetorically and facetiously answered, "Why do I love her more than you?" And it's in the Testament too, both the Old and the New, if you know what you're looking for and don't get sidetracked by the way things have been translated. Along that line, not to push the book, but those of you who are interested, you can get this on Amazon. The information that I just talked about is explained to some extent in here. It's not a page burner by any means. It's about 413 pages long. Yeah, 413 pages, not counting the introduction, the introduction pages, the title pages, and the bibliography and the glossary and those types of things. But the story itself is about 413 pages long. It's not a page burner, but if you want to get a handle on why I say what I do, this is written in novel form, but it is historically based. And I have basically a testimonial, or I guess you'd call it that, from a couple of scholars, one being Robert Eisenman, who is one of the world's foremost authorities on the Dead Sea Scrolls, which were a source that I drew from very heavily, as well as historical documents like from Josephus and Pliny, Eusebius, and those kinds of folks, if you know anything about that. And also from a Kabbalist who has written some books by the name of Jim Kirkwood. And a lot of people say, well, Kabbalah, that's black magic. Kabbalah, no. There's a good and a bad side, like there is with everything. But if you want to know some of the particulars, it's not a page burner, like I said, and sometimes it reads kind of slow, but I think you'll get some good information from it, and it'll give you some other bibliographies in the bibliography where you can go and look some of these things up for yourself. So, by the way, let me talk about what in Daniel 11:37 is the desire of women. If you look up the word desire in Strong's, it's word 2532, and it's chemdal, and it doesn't. It's not lust. It's not. There's nothing wrong with having lust for the right thing, like for your wife or your husband. But at any rate, a lot of people don't even like that. But the fact is that this word isn't talking about that. This is talking about something much deeper than that. Some of the English words would be delight, pleasant, precious, those kinds of concepts. In other words, he will have a high regard for women, okay, along with the natural tendencies to be attracted to women. So it's a very important word. It doesn't lend itself to worship. Do you see what I'm saying? It doesn't, and that's why Gesenius was wrong on this. It doesn't lend itself to the concept of worship, which is what he's trying to say when he talked to Gesenius, when he says, well, by the context of this entire verse, the context is about gods that are worshipped. Well, this word isn't the word for worship. Okay? And the desire of women has never been used in the scripture as anything other than the association of men and women. Okay? So this isn't, the word is chemda, meaning delight, pleasantry, or precious, those kinds of concepts, not worship. Another fact to consider when you look at some of these interpretations. There's an old saying, whenever you have 3 Jews together, you have 5 opinions. And that's really true across the board on a lot of things. Also, if you get into real scripture analysis and exegesis and all of those things, opinions, like I just said, for every 3 people you get 5 opinions. As long as you have a good argument, like if you discuss things with a real biblical, rabbinical scholar, as long as you can defend your position, you're respected. It's when you just throw things out with any, all you're throwing out are your opinions, your biases, your beliefs, then they don't believe you. But the argument that I've given you now as to why Daniel put that in there to veil the fact that the Antichrist will be this person that doesn't find women pleasant or delightful or precious is very important. Okay. Let's move to the chat. And again, I'm sorry that we lost so many of you for that. If most of you don't know what happened, my OBS crashed. Okay. And we lost about, 2 minutes. You went to black screen for about 2 minutes. That's because of the crash of the OBS. It lost one of my clips that I was going to show. So I apologize that happened. And, that's all I can say. It's just one of those things, Okay, let me go through some of this and see if we have any questions. Okay. We've been going for almost an hour. I'm going to shut this down at the hour mark. At least that's my plan. Darlene Bates, I shouldn't even address this with it. There are people who swear Melania's a man. No way. There is no way. All right? No. Look at her history. Look back where she's come from. You're not going to, no. There's no way. No, afraid not. Yeah, Laura K., I think Obama is closer to the percentage of the Antichrist than Trump, but there is even some problems with Obama. Although at one point in time I said he has the spirit of the Antichrist, and he does. He absolutely does. Okay. Okay, Mordecai 2:0. Mordecai, interesting. Trump has the appearance of godliness but denying the power thereof. There's some truth to that, I think. And his stand on some issues, I think, is indicative of that. But he's not the Antichrist. But what he is, and a lot of people have called him this, and I've talked about it before, he does fit, if you read the information on Cyrus and the latter-day Cyrus, you'll see that he does match up there quite well. So he may not be a godly man in the way that you would like him to be or define it, but he's not the Antichrist. He's not ungodly. He's just swimming through this muck like everybody else. Okay, and he wants to honor God. I think that's obvious. He wants to honor God. He may not know exactly how to do it. He may not do it the way you think he should, but I don't think he disrespects God. No way. Not a chance. Interesting. Brass Knuckles says Trump will get the temple built to fulfill the tribulation. There are some real problems with the whole idea of a latter-day temple, and I'm not going to get into that here. I'll just let you know that what you're being presented and how the modern-day Israel came about does not fulfill the biblical prophecy the way most people think it does, and that's all I'm going to say on it. Yeah, Trey Smith talks about that on YouTube. Let's see who said that. Alta Rhoda Miller. I'm not going to get into that. I'd love to meet with Trey sometime and have a sit-down discussion with him over, dinner or something. But my history prevents him from doing that, apparently. I tried to do that a couple of years ago, and I talked to his production manager, his producer, but it never went any further than that. And that's okay, but at any rate. Let's see what else we got here. We've got about a minute left before I shut this down. Okdok, the only ones who proclaim that Trump is Cyrus are Zionist Christians and Jews. That's not true. That's not true. I'm not a Zionist Christian. If you read this, you'll know that, okay? I am not a Zionist Christian. I'm not a Jew, okay? I do believe in the ancient Israelite religion as it was handed to Adam, Noah, Abraham, and Moses. Yes, I do. But Trump does fit the prophetic profile for the latter-day Cyrus. He does. You may not like it, but he does. Okay? That's a fact. Okay. Truth Seeker. Barr is sure hell not a good guy. Look at what he was covering up and defending under Bush. This is beyond insane. How could Trump hire this deep state monster? And I agree. And yet DeGeneva seems to think that he's going to do the right thing. Of course, Fitton does not. So I don't know. That's why we just got to watch and wait and see. I don't have a good feeling about it at all. Whitaker quitting. I think Whitaker was basically a good guy. I'd like to know what's going on between him and this Mike guy from Border Narcotics. But at any rate. I'm just going down through here real quick. Yeah, Brass Knuckles, if Trump is so smart, why would he nominate Barr? Trump doesn't have many friends. The friends that he has are somewhat at an arm's distance. Trump has been a loner most of his life. And he didn't go to D.C., as my Republican insider explains. He didn't go into D.C. knowing the political landscape and the structure and the personnel. And that was his greatest weakness, and apparently he hasn't learned from it even yet, which is really, really bad. Matt Whitaker, Matt Whitaker is gone, and Ben Carson will not serve past this term. Yeah, they see some real problems. I would love to see what this sit down between Mike and Matt Whitaker is all about. I don't think it's a good sign. And if Trump doesn't act, and I've said this all along, if Trump doesn't act, this is not going to go well. Yeah, he might be real popular right now, and it might look like he'll win the election. But let's just do this. Let's say he does. What's going to happen after that? Unless those things are set right now, unless the evil in our country is put down now, unless the criminals and the traitors are prosecuted and they are made an example of, this is not going to get fixed. I don't care how much he does to help the economy. Is that the calling of Cyrus? That'd be an interesting question. Is doing away with evil and attacking the evil in our system what Cyrus does? Probably not. That's left to the Davidic king. Just so you know. But I'm still not saying Trump can't act or shouldn't act. Every time I get a chance to, as Alex Jones said, you got to act, buddy. You got to go after these people. Doug Baker, Satan has refused to be born of women. He will not be in the flesh. Genesis 6. That's a good subject. The AntiChrist is not the same as Satan. I don't know who you're addressing here, okay? So maybe you're addressing somebody who thinks that the Antichrist is Satan born in the flesh. Satan has seed. He does. And that whole side does. But it's not able, it's not permitted that the seed of the serpent mix with the seed of Eve. And that is a hint, which is one of the things I got here a few minutes ago, and that is a hint about what really happened in the Garden of Eden. Why sex became the big thing. Oh, any sex is wrong. Any sex is part of the fall. No, it is not. It's unrighteous sex. And I'm not going to get into what that is, but it has to do with illicit contacts between different species. Remember, the Antichrist just has the satanic spirit. He has the spirit of Halel ben Shakar, who you call Lucifer. Lucifer and Satan aren't necessarily the same thing, despite the fact that you're led to believe that from the interpretation of the scriptures. The letter Tet in Hebrew is the number 9, which is the symbol of Satan. And he is nothing more than the accuser. He's the one, he's called the instructor. He goes around testing the children of God. It's even talked about in the scriptures that he goes before the throne of God, when he approaches this thing with Job, and God tells Satan, well, go ahead and test my servant Job. Let's see how he does. Satan and Halel ben Shakar, the evil one that fell, are not the same. But that's just, it's because of the evil stuff that happens that connection is made and very popular, but it's really not the case. Okay. I don't know who Don Sears asked, well, who is the Antichrist? Bush, Netanyahu, Hillary, the Supreme Court? Well, the Antichrist is a spirit, of course, but who that ultimate personality entity is going to be, I'm not sure. But we're fairly sure, because of what Daniel says, that it'll be somebody of the book, either a Christian, a Jew, or an Ishmaelite, Arab. One of those three. Okay, it's going to be one of those three. Johnny Doe, instead of calling it the Noahide law, he calls it the cowhide law. It's kind of funny. Every once in a while you got to lighten up, so I appreciate that. Again, where we go, when we go, you say Barack Obama was the Antichrist. I'm not sure that he is the Antichrist persona, which personality, like I just said, but he certainly had the spirit of the Antichrist. There's no doubt about that. Okay. Patrick Dan Kerr, you're asking, how do we know he likes women? It's manifestly obvious. I'm sorry, it's manifestly obvious. A lot of things that you think are sins are improprieties. I'll just leave it at that. It's. Okay, I'm trying to speed down through here to see if I see anything that I should address. Sean Hammond, Trump doesn't have any desires for his daughter Ivanka. The love between a father and a daughter. If you don't have a daughter, you'd never understand. It's not that at all. No, you're wrong about that. Okay. All right. Well, we've been going for an hour and 10 minutes. I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody's comments. And I'm sorry, again, one final time, that the OBS crashed. That's why you saw the black screen. The OBS crashed. We were still transmitting, obviously, but the actual program wasn't working. I lost a clip that I wanted to show you, and I managed to get it back. So I apologize for that. What was it, 2 minutes or so that we were down? I hate it when that happens, because then people kind of lose interest. I would go back and cut that out I would edit it out in a program so that it's not there, but then the original, when you guys send this out, then people aren't getting the original. It gets complicated, so I'll probably just leave it there, and I'll make a note in the description box. As a matter of fact, I'll do that right now. As you'll see in the description box, I have placed there the scripture Daniel 11:37, so you can see it. And let me put this in here for real quick. I apologize for the black screen. Downtime of about 2 minutes. My OBS crashed. Okay. You all should be able to see that, and hopefully you can tell everybody, hey, just speed past that black screen because the OBS gave out on him. Thanks again for everything. As I said, I kind of wing this. I'm never really sure when I'm going to do it. I've had some impromptus, and of course this program today. I really don't know when the next one will be. But we do need to keep our heads up. We need to watch what's going on. Things aren't looking good. There's a lot of promising things, but you got to look at what's coming over on the side here. What the House is doing right now to Trump and really to all of us is indicative of where they want to go, and it's not good. The constitutional republic is not just hanging by a thread. They've got the scissors in there about halfway through the thread right now. So pray, stay out of the way, exercise your First and Second Amendments, because if you don't exercise them, you lose them, which is another reason why I keep doing this, as I explained. If you don't have a semi-automatic rifle, go out and buy one, mostly to make a political statement. But it is also a good defensive weapon as well. Don't think you're going to take on the military or the UN or anybody like that. It's to protect you from the hordes of bandits more than anything else. And it's a political statement, as I said, so please do that. Also, keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground. I haven't said that for a long time, but it's definitely time to take that seriously. The Patriot Nurse, who I quoted the other day, explained that quite well, and it's referred to in the description box, and I think one of the last 2 or 3 videos that I put up. I think it's Bar and Civil War. That's the one. You can go look at that. Look in the description box, and there's a link there to the Patriot Nurse where she talks about where this is all going, and she doesn't have any trust in the government whatsoever any longer and will not shake hands with it. And I fully understand why she's saying that. God bless you. God bless yours. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the Second American Revolution. And God bless Donald Trump, that the Spirit of the Lord will descend upon him and give him the spirit of discernment that he may know the right from the wrong and have the courage to do the right thing. All right, everybody. Till next time. And thanks.